Well, I put the bogey gear on there, the gear legs that I made, the stub gear, and I took the wheels off and put that base on there. And I've taken the rotisserie off. Well, I think that's the last time I'll need that rotisserie for this go around, I hope. So I'll have to take it and go hide it someplace, go put it away someplace. Hopefully won't need it for the foreseeable future. But the gear legs are on there. That's stabilized that pretty good. I still have to fix something up back there on the back. I still have that rotisserie back there on the back. And while that puts it up in the air at a pretty good angle, I need to make something a little more stable for that. That thing has that universal joint on it up there. Before, when I didn't have something stretched between the back and the front there, sometimes when the front would roll forward, that back would roll back, and then the airplane would, fuselage would crash down on the ground. I've got it blocked up back there now, so it won't go anywhere, hopefully, but need something more stable back there to work on it. And I'd like to get something that I could adjust up and down so I can set the level on this thing, on this fuselage. But, well, I got the tail off of the rotisserie finally, and I've got the rotisserie put away over here. Hopefully I'm all done with it for the foreseeable future anyway. I got a tail stand built there now. I needed something solid to mount the tail on once I got that rotisserie off the front, because that rotisserie part that I had on the back was on wheels, and it had a tendency to slide back and forth sometimes and roll out from underneath the back of the airplane, and the fuselage would drop down. So I wanted something solid to put it on. I originally thought about just making some kind of a post, a vertical stand to put underneath it. Could have put it on sawhorses, I guess, but I wanted to get something to put it on and something that wouldn't be in the way when I put the rudder on. The rotisserie was out of the way of the rudder, but this is even more out of the way of the rudder. And I don't have to worry about anything mounting there because it's not going on wheels, so there's no wheel stand or anything going on there, no springs going on there. So I could just mount something up to that spring stand, which is a whole lot better than trying to support the airplane, the fuselage, underneath the tail with sawhorses or something. They're liable to damage the fabric or bend that stringer that goes underneath there, that former that goes underneath there. Well, just having something solid would work, but I need to level the fuselage out. I need to level it longitudinally as well as laterally. So if I had something solid like this, I could just pick it up and stick it on blocks and stuff to get it up, but that's hard to get it exactly plumb or level that way. So I thought about different ways of doing that. One idea that I had was somehow using one of these. These are jacks, trailer tongue jacks. These are old ones that come off of boat trailer tongues. And I thought about using one of those. I've got a couple of these around, but neither one of them have the crank on them. One of them is missing all the gears in the crank end, and it would have been kind of difficult to rework it or to fix it up to work. And this one is missing the crank. It does have the gears and stuff in there, I think, but it's all full of grease. So it would have taken something to build a crank for it and get it fitted up and fixed for that. The nice thing about these are, and this is on a wheel, but I could have made it on a stand, a solid stand. The nice thing about these is the crank is here on the front, so you crank it like this, so it would be out of the way. And then I've got these jack stands here, these jacks here. I bought these several years ago to put on a trailer that I had for supporting the rear end of the trailer when I load my equipment on it and stuff. And that would work okay. The problem with that is that the handle is on the top here and it cranks around like this. So it really wouldn't work too well. It'd be interference with whatever's in there to get it to crank up. So I decided against that after I looked around and finally found it. It took a while even just to find the thing. I had it put away. Anyway, this is what I come up with. I had this round pipe, and I thought if I welded it onto a platform on the bottom, and then I could put a screw in there, and then I can adjust it up and down. I was going to get a 3/4 inch all thread, just weld it into a plate here, and run it down into that tube and have the tube welded onto something on the bottom. And that works fine for fine adjustment, but when you want to adjust a major adjustment on this up and down, if it's got to go up a foot or something like that, then this will take a long time to do that, and I've only got about 6 inches of adjustment in that screw. So I found this other bigger tube, decided to use it to slide this smaller tube in and out of, and I've got holes drilled in the smaller tube and I can put a pin in it to adjust it, to rough adjust it up and down. My base plate is an old rotor off of an old pickup truck. I had another rotor here that I dug out that I was going to use, and it was a little bit small. This is off of my son's Jeep, and it was a little bit small. So this one is off of a 3/4 ton pickup. Well, that one's a lot bigger footprint and heavier. So all of this stuff was, except for the bolt. The bolt was a carriage bolt that I got at the hardware store. The bolt and the nut and the washer. Everything else is stuff that I pulled out of the scrap pile here. Again, that can be adjusted up and down. I have rough adjustments in the tube going up and down. Got a pin in there. And holes about an inch apart or so in that small tube, so I can raise and lower that and adjust that up and down. Rough adjustment on there. And then the bolt there has about 6 inches of adjustment in it. And it's set up so that it can pivot to adjust for the radius change of raising that up and down, because it doesn't raise linearly. It raises on a radius with the front wheels that it's pivoting on, or the front axle there that it's pivoting on. And then I can adjust those bolts, tighten those nuts up real tight so that it doesn't pivot out of there. Like right now, when I want to work on it, I'll tighten those bolts up real tight, and that thing should be pretty solid. Well, there it is, my tail stand. Now I can start working on the airplane on the fuselage and not worry about it falling down.